gold teeth, gold chain wearing, fried chicken and biscuit eating, monkey, ape, baboon, big thigh, fast running, high jumping, spear chucking, 360-degree basketball dunking, titsoon, spade, mulling yarn.
I wish Cotton was a monkey. I wish Cotton was a monkey. Hey, Cotton. I wish you were a monkey. That's Cotton. Hey, be careful what you're wishing for. That lamp might work. All he needs is a tail.
I traveled a long way to find you.
Hey, Caesar.
Don't try to play me. You're Car Black from Chicago, right?
Yeah, and you're Caesar from the Planet of the Apes.
You seen Patrick Ewing's Got Milk commercial? He looked like a Haitian Sasquatch. Jamaican.
We all know in the news industry, there's a filtering process and a vetting process to make a decision when you sit around the table and decide what would be in the papers or what would be on the news. You make a decision. There was a conscious decision to show the President of the United States to be a monkey.
You'll also see why I say he's a gorilla. You'll see how ugly he is and how pretty I am.
Great gorilla Mbako. This is why we are here.
Yo! Hold up! Time out! Time out! Y'all take a chill.
Once again, welcome back. We kept most of our people in. So if you can start your presentation over again, I'll give you the stage. How's that sound? Okay?
Okay.
All
right. First of all, peace and blessings to the Reelblack family. And since we've been doing these podcasts, I've been having problems with my connection. So I just hooked up a wire, but I didn't. Maybe the problem was I was using the wire and still had the Wi-Fi going. So I don't know what's happening now. But anyway, let me just say that tonight's presentation, the Simianization of Blacks in the media, it's my way of contextualizing how the media, through Simianization, it's the process of dehumanizing Black people, dehumanizing them, making them subhuman, so that when they're killed by police, when something happens to them, the police get away with it. They get away with it. There's this impunity because what has been established from our media representation is that there's this rationale where it's okay to get rid of us. And we're not the only ones that have been subjected to this kind of comparison to apes. I want to make that clear because a lot of our viewers say, you guys just think you're the only ones who've been subjected to this kind of racial ridicule and this devaluing of your image. The Irish, when they came here, they suffered terribly. The Italians. One of the films Martin Scorsese did, The Gangs of New York, that spoke about the conditions the Irish had to deal with. But so far as Blacks are concerned, I don't think anyone can argue against the fact that Blacks have been subjected to this kind of treatment far longer, more inhumanely than any other group of people. And it continues to this day. And so that when we see what happens to Rodney King's, one of the callers just called and said, I live where something happened with, tragic happened to Breonna Taylor, Amadou Diallo, Eric Garner. We just had the George Floyd trial. These things continue to go on and on and on. What happened with Sandra Bland? She's arrested. The next thing you know, they find her where they say she hung herself in jail. These kind of things go on and on because the media, we do not control the media. And a lot of people think that the media, what we get on the big screen, on television, they take it for entertainment. It's not entertainment. It's propaganda. All art is propaganda. And the messaging is that the powerful elite who run the country, they dictate what the content will be. And I said it before, information is power. And the information that we get through this media, the main message, the objective, the goal is to program us, to condition us, to make us accept our condition. The information is geared, designed to keep us in formation, a regimented people, a people who are complacent with our condition, our colonized condition. We are getting content that is designed to make us content with our condition. That's the technology. And so some of the images we used in the teaser, some people say, well, you're always going back, way back. Well, you study history. History is a prologue to the future. You study history and you see that what we had in the past that caused so many blacks to be upset with how they said Whitey was presenting them, how they blamed the Jewish media for presenting them in such a reprehensible way. What I wanted to show also in this teaser, what I feel is the most reprehensible thing is when the black artists, when they participate, they aid and abet their own annihilation. And so we have a scene from Meet the Blacks, 1998. 2018, Black Panther. Yeah, I've spoke on Black Panther, and I want to show that this whole comparison to apes, that imagery, it was in Black Panther. Black Panther was created by white people. And there's something in the teaser when there was this post cartoon where they compared Obama to a monkey. And the post said, no, it wasn't Obama, but blacks felt it was. Eric Adams, who was a state senator at the time, he said the key thing. People are sitting at the table. They're the deciders, the gatekeepers. They decide through filtering what goes in the newspaper, what goes on TV, what goes in the media. And they decided to let this image go through where this thing would be, where it would represent President Obama. That's the same I'm saying that it upsets me when we have this call, this cry, this demand that blacks are at the table as far as black film production is concerned. But I often say, what good is it to be at the table when the food that's on the plate, you're not inspecting it, and it's going to give us indigestion? If you're going to be at the table, make sure you're filtering, you're deciding what is good for us to eat. When you hear the expression, you are what you eat, well, that doesn't just relate to consuming food. You are what you eat is a consequence. Also, it relates to, the correlation is, it relates to what you consume culturally in your environment. That consumption of what's in your environment helps to shape who you are, how you think, what your attitude is. That's all dictated and designed by the media. So the mediation that we get is designed to make us a people who are going to accept our condition. And if we have people who are supposed to represent us, people who look like us, if they're going to be complicit in this BS, nothing will ever change. Nothing will ever change. Case in point, I was very upset with the fact that Muhammad Ali, when he was doing that thing with the gorilla, he was not Cassius Clay. He was Muhammad Ali. The same Muhammad Ali who would go on talk shows and tell you that with his learning, his new learning, the reason why he became Muhammad Ali, and in his becoming Muhammad Ali, he learned how he was brainwashed all his life. And he questioned, why is angel food cake white, devil food cake dark? Why are the angels in white and the devil is not? You take language. When they say someone has a black heart, someone has a white heart, all of these are colors. And one of the things that is associated with seeing blacks in a dehumanized, subhuman way as gorillas and apes and baboons, there's this connection, this nexus with color, skin color. Why did Muhammad Ali say he's beautiful and Joe Frazier is ugly? In Meet the Blacks, there's clearly colorism going on between Epps' character and Blackson's character. They get into a color thing. Why are the darker skinned blacks quicker to be associated with apes and gorillas? So there's that colorism that's at play also. My whole purpose is not, I said before and I'll say again, my whole purpose is not to beat something in the ground. It's not to promote these kind of images and to try to sell it. I want to bring to the attention of our audience imagery that I grew up on, but I did not have the discount to know that what I was being fed when I was a young kid was something that made me hate myself, made me dislike who I was and who my people were. A lot of us are fortunate that in our home environment, they've had people who could tell them, this is not who you are. You come from a race of people like any other race of people that have contributed significantly to the world's progress. I grew up an only child. What I had as company was that television set. I'm a baby boomer. TV was the thing. So when you see the Rama of the Jungles we show, the Amos and Andes, these are things I grew up on. I grew up on TV westerns, The Lone Ranger, Hopalong Cassidy, Gene Autry. But all my heroes, Superman, all my heroes, they didn't look like me. So subconsciously, people who grew up when I was growing up, we didn't know we were subconsciously being conditioned and brainwashed to see ourselves as an inferior people. We live in a society that's based on the ideology of white supremacy. Some people aren't aware of it. Some people say, okay, been there, done that. But the thing is, in order to change something, to eradicate it, you have to know what it is. If we raised hell with this imagery in the past, we cannot accept it when it's presented to us in the present. And we really can't go without discussing it and disapproving it when it's presented from people who look like us. If anyone should receive condemnation and criticism, it's people who've complained about these images, and when they get the chance to be at the table, they're just going along with the program. You know, I have a saying, when you buy into a program, the diametric opposite of buying in, the opposite of buy is sell, the opposite of in is out. When you buy in, you sell out. I wonder how many of you remember when Steve Harvey, he said he asked Michael Clark Duncan, why did you play an ape in Planet of the Apes? Why'd you do that? And Michael Clark Duncan told him, well, they gave me $6-7 million. What was Steve Harvey's reaction? Give me the suit. Show me the money. If that's going to be the attitude of our artists, then shame on us. We're not going to get anywhere. If Muhammad Ali, at the time he was doing that thing that really hurt Joe Frazier's feelings, Joe Frazier was devastated by that comparison. When we hear the rappers, when they disparage Black women, and you hear a number of them saying, I don't want anything to do with a dark woman. That's terrible. When I was growing up, this light skin opened a lot of doors for me, but it made me very aware at an early age of the difference in treatment that a lighter skin received than a darker skin. My parents who raised me, I lost my mother early, raised by my aunt. I remember she told me, and my brother who looks, he's not my real brother, but we grew up, we look a lot alike. We were told not to bring anything dark as a romantic love interest to the house. We don't want no Black kids running around this house. I grew up and I had all the attention of the girls because they said, ooh, he got good hair. He's got light skin. That is a mindset that's based on colorism that I told you is spoken about in the so-called Willie Lynch letter of 1712. It's a mindset, it's a conditioning that we have to learn how to divorce ourselves from it, because all it does is it keeps us in the condition we're in. So in closing, I just want to say I apologize that things didn't go well with this technology. We're trying to get it together, but I appreciate the Reelblack audience. And one of the things we have to look at also is what images are popular in the TV shows that they offer us. I love Godfather of Harlem. I love Raising Canaan and Power. We just spoke about The Wire with Omar. But the thing you have to look at is that these images are promoting gangsterism, selling, the kind of images we need, we'll never get. And the reason why we'll never get them is because the people that control this system, they dictate what you like and what you don't like. And that's technology. That's something people need to be aware of. So you just take a look at the Academy Awards that blacks have won. What roles have they won the Academy Awards for? Denzel Washington get an Academy Award for playing Malcolm X. He got an award for playing a rogue gangster cop. And there's something interesting about Training Day. Near the end, when he's about to face his comeuppance, isn't it odd? And it relates to the discussion we're having now on the Simianization of Blacks. What did Denzel say in Training Day? If you remember, he said, "I'm a bad boy. I'm going to bring hell on you guys." King Kong
King Kong ain't got nothing on me.
Ain't got shit on me. Thank you.
Okay, excellent, Charles. Great presentation. Do you want to take some calls?
Sure.
Okay, now if I can't see your face, I'm not going to call on you. So Michael, Cash, and Issa, if you can get your cameras up, then we can talk. Okay, so Michael up first, then Space Dandy. Okay, is Michael coming on? I'll go to Space Dandy first. Welcome to the Reelblack Podcast, sir.
Awesome. Hey, how are you guys doing? Hi, Mr. Woods and Mr. D or Mike. It's good to see you all. I'm new to this whole streaming thing, so I'm grateful to caught you all live. I just had a quick question. How about I guess Simianization? Am I saying that correctly? Simianization.
Yes. Simianization.
Yeah. So how would you all know how that's connected with the scientific theory of Darwinism? Because it seems like it's very easy to push those ideas when you capture your students with that in the first place. So, with Darwinism, they say that they found a lot of different bones, and they're saying that we come from the ape or different hominids or different types of ape species. I'm actually reading this book called African Civilizations by this guy named John G. Jackson. I just picked it up, and I wasn't expecting him to go into kind of Darwinism in the very beginning. So that took me by surprise. So I just wanted to get you guys' opinion on how maybe Simianization is connected, not just in the media, but through scientific media as well, not just through entertainment media.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Charles, any thoughts?
Yeah. Space Dandy, what you have to realize is that racism, you often hear the term racism is a construct. What it means is it's constructed. Who constructed it? Well, the people who wanted to take over this world, and I call it power, Power, take over the politics, maintain the oligarchic occupation, take over the W is the wealth, the E is economics, and the R is the rhetoric, which is the press, the messaging. The people who wanted to control this world, they're the ones who came up with what's called scientific racism. If you follow some of the things John Jackson writes about in that book, there's a thing called the chain of being. And in the chain of being, they always wanted to present blacks as at the lower end, like they never fully developed. They always want to see us as apes, but no one else is apes. No other people is apes. Then they got into the size of the skull. All of this is pseudoscience, is crap. Arguably, the original man is a person of color, a black man. Years ago, National Geographic, you can look this up, they discovered an albino gorilla. It made the cover of National Geographic. Look up Snowflake, the albino gorilla. At one time, they didn't want to show it because the whole thing is they want to associate gorillas with black people because of the color. I studied a guy named Ashley Montague. Ashley Montague, anthropologist, he wrote in his book that if there's any similarities between apes and human beings, apes more closely resemble white folks than black folks. They got the thinner hair and they got the thinner lips. One of the viewers was just talking about how someone remarked that blacks had thicker lips and all this other kind of stuff. But the whole thing is, in the construction of racism, they wanted to build it around their idea that the super person was the white man, because whites were in charge of the science. So their bias is the reason why we have all these descriptions of who the ideal man is and who the less than ideal man is, the chain of being, all of that. But it's a fascinating study. But the bottom line is this: we've gotten into a discussion of what I call the human race, but it's deteriorated into the HUE man race. Color. Du Bois said color will be the problem of the 20th century. In this America, it's about color. Any place else, they'll come up with something else, because the whole strategy, once again, we have to realize, the whole strategy of keeping a people divided is you have to find a difference. You have to exaggerate the differences, and you have to have people fighting over some false notion of what makes them different from each other, and not to unite over the fact that there are more things that make them similar and common to each other.
Good answer. Okay, Ho is on the line. Are you ready? Just give a thumbs up if you're ready, Ho. Okay. Welcome to the show.
Hi, hello.
We're taking, let me just reset the room real quick. So if you're just tuning in, we're with Charles Woods, and he just gave a presentation about the Simianization of Black people in media, and now we're taking your calls. Welcome to the show, Ho.
Hello. So I guess I have a three-part question. I'm not sure what your guys' view on this person is, but I was thinking about Kanye. And so in 2000, first part, in 2005, Kanye goes and says George Bush doesn't care about Black people. Then a few years later, during Obama presidency, he goes on stage for the Taylor Swift Award, and Obama ends up calling him a jackass. And then a few years later, in 2011, Kanye goes on one of the morning talk shows, and he apologizes to George Bush to his face for saying that George Bush doesn't care about Black people. So I just wanted to say I wanted to ask in that example specifically, what are your thoughts on the role that Obama played in, I guess, the Simianization or just the development of what happened there, Kanye, the apology? What would you say about that?
Mike, you want to take that?
Well, I mean, Kanye's got issues. So I think as long as we respect him as a musician and not necessarily a politician, he's okay with me. But he did come to the fore as a backpack rapper. So we respected his lyricism and the content of his lyrics for being somewhat woke and conscious. And then it seems to me as he traveled the world more and decided that he would focus on making anthem music and things that would have more global impact, he became more Republican and in his worldview, which I think he has every right to shift his perspective. Unfortunately, he also has a history of mental illness and has used the media to trigger people. So to answer your question, I just take Kanye for Kanye and what he says as a grain of salt. Now, the second part of your question, like the Simianization of Blacks in media, President Obama was a huge target, as you saw in the presentation video that we did prior to this. I mean, he was constantly used in political cartoons and propaganda rhetoric. Him, his family, his wife, his children depicted as apes. I mean, I don't know, Charles, if you have an opinion on that aspect of the question.
Well, the Simianization of Obama was not as great as it was on his wife, Michelle. And that goes to the point I was making about the color. The darker the color, the more the comparison is made in an ape and the black person. The darker the black person is, the more they'll make that comparison. So Michelle Obama, the internet, I mean, the images of her as an ape, they're profusely all over the internet. Obama, being a little, he's a light skin. It was a little tougher for them. But the thing is, what you have to understand is Simianization is a process of dehumanization. And so they made ape references to Abraham Lincoln. If people don't like you, they're going to dehumanize you. People didn't like the Irish. Look up the term paddy wagon. When I was growing up, they said, well, they're going to bring the paddy wagon. Paddy wagon, there's two schools of thought on what the paddy wagon means. But the Irish caught hell too, but and they were associated with apes. In 1901 in Lincoln Park, they had this zoo, and the gorilla was named Miss Dooley. Look that up. And the Irish were vehemently outraged because their women were constantly promoted as being promiscuous, bitchy, and they always wanted to make them look like some hulking women, and they always use this ape-like image for them. So it's nothing new. But as I said before, with respect to blacks, this imagery has gone on incessantly, and the Irish and the Italians, they were able to diffuse the hate that they got. You get a book called the Difference of Whiteness, where the Italians and the Irish, all of a sudden, they became white. They united on their whiteness. They were brought into the book because of their whiteness, but they were never liked. I mean, the Irish were put on boats sent to America. Ireland didn't want them. So it's a fascinating history. That's what's important. I think not enough people understand the importance of studying history. So thank you for your question.
Thank you.
I'm not hearing you, Mike.
Your microphone's off.
I was muted. Okay. Yeah, I'm still learning. Shout out to Karen Walker. Shout out to Cosmo Energy for modding today. Michael Cash, what's your question?
I got a few softball questions, and I just want to admire you for your Irish knowledge there. What do you think about like the 60s as far as like the Loving Case, progressive change? I guess Irish people that are committed to, like the Irish Republican Army obviously acknowledges social changes with Black folks in America. And then my second question is just the what are your thoughts on Breonna Taylor and the movement as far as her? Like, I'm in the front lines of Louisville and I see a lot of stuff. So I'm just curious, being in this community, what people think outside of our community about the situation here. And then I guess largely, I guess is there any writings or pieces or any literature? Because I kind of came here for a reason. I kind of want to know a little bit about you as a person. So I kind of knew a little bit prior to coming in here. But yeah, those are my questions.
Oh, thank you for your questions.
I'm sorry, your microphone's muted again.
I'm super retarded. I'm sorry. I shouldn't even say that word, right? They'll cancel us. So the three parts are your background, Charles, thoughts on Breonna Taylor, and what was the third part?
The Loving Case, and just the progressive change, and just the IRA, the Republican Army recognizing, obviously there's, Northern Ireland's not a country. It's still under British control, so just your thoughts on that sort of thing and what people think about a lot of people in the IR think there's a second American Revolution coming. That's the thoughts in Ireland. You see what I'm saying? And I'm just curious as to what you think about that, or if you know or have any knowledge on that subject.
Thank you.
Well, let me just say, and it's Michael Cash V. One thing I've learned after being embarrassed for studying and not realizing that in my studies, I was bringing a lot of biases to my studies. In other words, I was looking to support what I believed rather to get information that would take me to a belief system. That's dealing with cognitive dissonance. It's about cognitive bias. But the thing is, one thing I learned, as I said before, a lot of people, they only see how they've been subjected to racism and hate. And I said, and it's great that you have this question. In this country, it's about color. Now, the Irish and the British, I point out that there's not a color issue there. It's political. But there's division, there's hatred, and it's been violent. That war has been violent. That political war has been violent, and I hear it's never really been settled. So that continues. It's a history. As far as I'm concerned, a lot of times I would get into arguments and people would attack me. They're saying, "Oh, you're not really black. That's why you're saying what you're saying. You trying to be kumbaya and all that." No. I am not going to say what my racial background is, because something Paul Mooney said. A lot of times you bring that up and people think you're boasting because a lot of blacks wanted to say they weren't fully black. And he said that was a way of saying, I'm not all totally subhuman. I got some human part in me. And the human part is the non-black part. We used to get into discussions about that. But the whole thing is how we think, what we think, it's shaped by the culture we're in, the environment we're in, and the divisions that we are faced with. It plays to the advantage of the small percentage of people who make money off of black people fighting white people, non-blacks fighting whites, Muslims fighting Christians. All of these divisions, that's all divide and conquer. That's all a strategy to keep the guys who are making all the money. People, just like right now in this country, people are making money hand over fist over whether to wear a mask, whether to get a vaccine. People are making big money off of that because they don't want things to be right. They want a revolution to erupt, just like the Civil War. We're facing a lot of the same things that caused the Civil War. Those things are in place right now. So to cut to the chase, I study a lot because studying helps me to contextualize things from a historical perspective, to realize that people are people, and the conditions we have all over the world is because there's constant. People are people. And the reason why they're fighting with each other is because people have this idea that they have this belief that freedom, they have freedom. They don't understand that freedom, ideal, in its idealistic existential state, you can't have it. There's no such thing as an idealism. So you have to realize that one man's freedom ends when it impinges on another man's freedom. And we have to learn through history that we're all the same. We're all the same. That comes from studying history. So then, and you complimented me on my history of the Irish, because the one thing I wanted to say is during the 60s that you brought up with the Loving case, here's a white man fell in love with this young black girl, and it led to this landmark decision in 67. There are a lot of people who are opposed to racial intermarriage. Love knows no color line. But I do believe in my heart of hearts that when you seek love, you should have a clear mind that what you're seeking is love based on what happens to your heart, what happens to your head, and not seek someone because you have been taught that a particular person is a golden prize and that someone who looks like you is not worth having. That's what happens in an environment that's based on an ideology where one group of people prop themselves up as being better than another group of people. And that's what we've been subjected to in America. And one of the other things is in the 60s, Mike, that time, the 60s was a revolutionary time that has scared the forces, the people that run this country, The 60s scared them because there was so much counter-revolution going on. There was this fight against Vietnam. Young people were questioning the government. After what happened through the 60s, there became a definitive moment where the powers that be said, do not allow this to ever happen again. So what we're experiencing now is a complete dumbing down of America, where right now we can't even agree on just wearing a damn mask. And this COVID, whether you want to take the vaccine or not, but at least wear a damn mask, this thing is going to destroy us. And the way study Rome was not destroyed from the enemy from without. Rome was destroyed from within. And that's what's happening now.
All right. We have a caller, Ted Jr. You ready? Just give a thumbs up if you're ready. Okay, Ted, welcome to the show.
How you doing today? Thank you for having me on the show, first of all.
Doing great. You're welcome. Yeah. Where you calling from, by the way, if you don't mind revealing?
Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore. Okay. The home of The Wire.
Yeah. yeah.
It's hot. It's hot out there on these streets on the East Coast tonight. What's your question, sir?
Well, I have a question, but more so of a statement. Okay. I mean, if anything, if I'm allowed, I would like to add on to the discussion. Something that you were just saying, Mr. Woods, earlier about Muhammad Ali, and when he pulled the gorilla thing with with Frazier. Now, what's I guess what's ironic to me is that, listen, I'm a young man. I'm only 40 years old. Actually, 41. Be 42 in a couple of months. So, as I was growing up and as I saw those images and I saw clips of that event, it confused me because when that happened, like you said, he was Muhammad Ali at that time. And based upon the teachings that he had received from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam, you would have thought that he would have known better, okay? He would have known how to conduct himself in a better fashion than he did. So as a child watching that, I was confused. Also, I could see the hurt and pain on Joe Frazier's face. Even though Frazier tried his best not to show it, but maybe I could more so read Joe Frazier's energy as a child. Okay? And Muhammad Ali, he was a very animated individual. So, when you get somebody who is as animated as Muhammad Ali and has the charisma as Muhammad Ali, I believe what he did has even more of a greater effect than if someone maybe that did not have that same charisma or personality. So I think, it coming from Muhammad Ali, it had a great effect on it. Now, I say all that to say is that this is why I understand. Can you call my sister, let her know? I'm sorry. My apology. I understand what you're saying, Mr. Woods, as far as the simulation of blacks, okay, in the media. But the one thing that I'm really starting to realize about us is this. We have to bear responsibility. We cannot continue to play this victim role. This is 2021 going into 2022. If the average black person don't understand what's going on right now, then may the forces be with you. But a lot of us, more than enough of us, knows what is We know in some form or fashion what is going on. I think a lot of us is looking for solutions. In my humble opinion, the greatest solution that you're going to have is knowledge of self. Okay? If you don't have knowledge of self, then in my opinion, you will still continue to think on a very immature animalistic level where you're just going off of your desires. And I think one of the solutions for black folks is to look at one another, look at your neighbor, find common ground, right? And then go from there. If as an individual, if you don't know how to govern yourself, like your body, your mindset, if you don't know how to govern then your household, then your children, then your community, um, you're going to have a problem. But a lot of black people, they know how to do that. What I notice is this: it comes down to each individual. There's going to be obstacles and there's going to be resistance in every individual life. Okay? It's going to be a white man. It's going to be a black man. It's going to be a Chinese man. It's going to be somebody that's going to resist against you. Get over it. Find a way around it. Think your way out of it. Because that is the meaning of a man. The origin of a man is to think. Some of us, because we get so attached to the human vessel, some of us, the only way we can get ourselves out of a situation is to get physical. This is why we have no problem with getting physical with one another, and we have a problem with having a sit down, a mature conversation to find our common ground where we may differ at, and then let's just move along. So, just in my humble opinion, the only thing my message is to say, you know, everything you said, Mr. Woods, everything you said, Mike D, today is absolutely correct. Okay? And in my opinion, it is not about color. Because Mr. Woods, like you just said, with this COVID thing, if you think it's about color, then you gotta be crazy. Because it's a lot of white folks that is ready to go crazy if they gotta be mandated to wear a mask. In fact, I see more white folks that's resisting the establishment out in the open than I do black folks. Okay? So, maybe in the past it was about color. Nowadays it ain't gotten so bad where the powers that be, they don't care what color you are, long as you obey. Okay? And I'm gonna leave it at that. And once again, all I can say is each individual, the first thing you do is learn how to govern your mind. And then learn how to govern the body. And then you govern your household. And then you find like-minded minds. And then you go and complete the mission that the soul was meant to complete, which is to bring peace, light, and happiness to all, even the devil itself. Peace. Thank you for listening to me. I so very much appreciate it.
Amen.
Great. That was great, Ted.
Yeah.
Thank you. So
thanks, Ted.
Any thoughts on that? Or I mean, we'll leave it open. We'll give it one last try for a call. But any thoughts on that? Any closing thoughts?
Well, the thing is, what Ted was saying is what happens with respect to the communication I have with the viewers. If someone says, you need to stay behind the scenes, what you're talking is psychobabble, I don't take it as an insult. I take it as a challenge. But the thing is, I just communicated to one of the viewers. I said, you know what? We don't have to see eye to eye, but that should not prevent us from standing shoulder to shoulder and working together to fight, to find our ways out of this abyss, this wretchedness we're in, because we have more in common than we have indifference. And so the thing is, maybe some people, who knows, we get some trolls and things like that, but you're not going to get this man here upset, because I know me, and I know that the best way to be the best me is to constantly seek to improve my mind. The game is, the colonizer is all about destroying your mind, but keeping your body, because your body is going to have some value to the colonizer for you as a servant, as a worker. When things get very problematic is when there's not enough work for the bodies to perform. So they have to get rid of some people. And that's what's happening in the world today. When we face the times we're facing now, if you look at it historically, it's always when economically things are not the way they should be. This COVID has put us in a rut. Whenever you have an economic condition where people are in a rut, they're scared, people are losing their jobs, people are afraid to go to work. This is when society, the people who run it, they start scapegoating people. So you see a lot of scapegoating going on, where people are saying it's the Mexicans, it's what happened with Afghanistan. We're going to have a lot of these people who are extreme Muslims coming over here. They're going to destroy America. That kind of messaging gets more and more pronounced. We're in bad shape. A lot of people don't realize it. We're close. We're getting close to a civil war. So, like Ted said, the only way is, to make sure you know who you are, and associate with people like minds. Make that strength, that unite with people who think like you. If they don't think like you, then have a debate, not an argument, but have a debate, but try to come up with the best strategy to make this a better world. And the best way to make this a better world is not to inculcate you with what I think, but to respect what you think and have you respect what I think. And then let's agree on, we can have some differences, but let's find out where we have common ground.
Appreciate it, Charles. Great talk tonight. You made a monkey out of me.
Yeah.
With that Wi-Fi, but we got it together.
King Kong ain't got nothing on you.
So that's it for tonight. We'll and it's ironic now that we're at the end, you're like crystal clear and you're moving smoothly. So not sure what it is, but whatever it is, don't change a thing between now and next week.
Well, the whole thing is we a lot of times things don't go as long as planned. We want to set up early, get all the kinks out.
Yeah.
Something happened with the traffic and you had a jam up.
Yeah.
But we have some people they hung in there, and I appreciate them. And I tell you two good things. I spoke to David today. Two Davids.
Yeah.
But who did I tell you I haven't heard from, and I was worried about him, and I heard from him in the day. You even called me to say, welfare dad called.
Yeah, he's in the chat.
I mean, left a comment. Huh?
He's in the chat. He's watching now.
That's my man. That's my brother. So I'm going to meet with him soon. But welfare dad is my brother.
So we got to say thank you to everybody who hung in there and stuck with us. We had a little technical thing. So what we're going to do, we're going to retire the live stream after we get off the air, and I will make some edits so that that first 30 minutes or so when we were going through the technical problems won't be there when you go to watch it again. So thanks again, Charles. Thanks again, Cosmo Energy. Thanks again, Karen. for
Yeah.
technical
Let me say
director.
hello to Karen. Hi, Karen.
Karen is waving. She's our technical director in training. And we'll be back next week with street smarts and another great topic. Promise you. Thanks again for your support. Stay black.
Peace and
everybody.
blessings.